Spurs Bros, welcome into episode 31 of the Spurs Bros podcast. This is our last episode before the NBA draft lottery next Monday. So we've got one final tankathon spin at the end here. But the major headline, Coach Pop is no longer the head coach of the San Antonio Spurs. So we're going to talk about the impact that he's had now that we've had a little bit more time to kind of digest and think about it. We're ushering in a new era with Mitch Johnson being officially named the head coach of the Spurs. They had the press conference. We've got thoughts there. We're going to go through also our favorite memories of Coach Pop. Stuart, Alec, and I each brought what our favorite thing about Coach Pop was from his 29 seasons as head coach of the Spurs. And then we're going to kick it over to ourselves, pre-recorded, for part two of player grades. And again, this is going to have all the big time names, starting five: Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sochan, Harrison Barnes, Wemby, Castle, everybody of that tier of the Spurs. We're ranking and giving grades to. Hit that subscribe button. We are two away from hitting 100. And when we hit 100, we're doing a giveaway for a free t-shirt. Don't forget, check out Stuart in this episode. He's got the hat that is now for sale for Spurs Bros Pod merch. And we will see you guys next week with a guest. Once the draft lottery is final, we're going to have a guest on to go through college prospects, where we're at in the lottery, who we think we should take, what we should do with those picks. So action-packed episode this week, next week coming up. But tune in right now for Player Grades Part 2 and an Ode to Pop. Spurs Bros coming at you for episode 31.
Spurs Bros, welcome to episode 31, the Malik Rose episode of the Spurs Bros podcast.
Two rings, Malik Rose. Put some
Malik.
respect on his name.
Yeah, two-time champ. Let's go, boys.
Malik. Steakhouse
Yeah.
in SA, huh?
Yeah, did y'all ever go to that? I was just about to ask you in the quarry.
No, I never
No.
went.
That thing shut down after like 3 years.
Tiago had one too. That one might be still open, dead ass out on the rim. Tiago's. That's the name of it.
I love it.
Was the name of it.
Well, boys, times are changing. The times are officially changed. As we talked about last podcast, couple podcasts ago, you've got Bill Schoening retiring, Bill Land retiring, and as we talked about in our special release emergency podcast episode, Pop, the man, our anchor, our foundation, he's officially retired as well. So we want to talk a little bit more about that before we get into the player grades and before we do our last Tankathon spin before the NBA lottery coming next Monday. What do y'all got to say about the presser that we had for Pop to announce Pop's retirement and to also officially bring in Mitch Johnson as our new head coach?
Dude, all the emotions. I watched that entire thing from start to finish and just like absolute roller coaster. Like by the time Mitch got up there with Brian Wright, it was like, okay, like new chapter, we're happy. But that was like before the cool thing of watching Tim and Manu stand beside Coach Pop and then Pop talking was like, oh my God, because that was the first time he'd been on camera since, November. That was kind of hard to accept in the moment and like trying to process that and actually listen to what he's saying. We had DeJounte Murray in the crowd. We had current players, former players. Sean Elliott was there. Like it, just this crazy Spurs posse family of an organization was all there to support their king and Mitch Johnson coming in. Like it was a crazy 35 minutes. Like I don't there's so much stuff to say about it, but I think the best way to encapsulate the whole thing is just a roller coaster.
Yep, roller coaster's right. Started kind of down, a little sad, and then got up with Mitch. I saw all the tweets on X, it was blowing up, and everyone was just saying like how this is like only the Spurs organization would have all those guys you just mentioned, Reagan, come back to see the end of Pop and the new, like no organization they're doing that kind of stuff, saying
Right.
goodbye to a coach, anything like that. And then all over, Sports Center, all the shows we're talking about at Wendy, Stephen A, everyone telling stories and all that. And just quite literally no one had a bad thing to say about Pop, whether it was, his interviews back in the day, always sarcastic, fun, but like just always brought the best out of people. And then I saw ones, saying how like even the little fish in the pond who would be scared to ask Pop a question, a girl was like her first time ever interviewing him. She was so scared. And then he was just the nicest to her. And she was like, it totally changed my perception of him. So just no one had a bad thing to say about him. Obviously sad to see him go. And then Mitch came up and, that started the new chapter. It's only looking up from here.
That's right, man. I'm excited to give Mitch Johnson a chance and just to see what he can do. We'll get into that more in a second, but yeah, just more on this Pop thing. It was exactly like you said. Yeah, from reporters everywhere, right? Spurs media, um, they always said the same thing. He always made me feel heard, right? Even if I was, like you said, a little fish in a big pond, like talking to the big boy, the big boss.
Mm.
Yeah, that was amazing to see. It was also amazing to see all the players who came out to come watch this whole thing unfold. Obviously, you had his two rocks in Timmy D and Manu who were assisting him the whole time during the whole presser event. But you also had, current players, Wemby and Stephon
Castle,
Castle.
KJ, Riley Minix, Harrison Ingram, they
Right.
were they were all there. I think Mamu was there as well.
I
So it was
Mamu,
a
think,
big group of the current
yeah,
guys.
current guys. And then you had DeJounte Murray. DeJounte Murray, who came out to San Antonio just to see all this unfold, which was
yep.
interesting and cool to see. It was awesome. It was really cool for
Yeah, like I saw him there, and it kind of raises a question mark because he didn't leave on like maybe the best of terms ever, like
right.
not Kawhi level, but it was kind of awkward. Like he kind of maybe forced his way out a little bit at the end there. Didn't have some great things to say, but he posted on social media that I'll always love you, Pop. Like you were there for me in my hardest times. Like
Hmm.
it's love always. But also, I think it was twofold for him because he's actually known Mitch Johnson since he was 9 years old. They are
Right.
both from the Seattle area, and I think so. It was twofold. It was like I got to go see Pop Off, but also I got to see my guy since I was a kid who's always supported me, Mitch Johnson, step into this thing. And they seemed to welcome him with open arms. Like it didn't like everybody was kind of talking to him. It wasn't
Yeah.
weird or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, Reagan was a little weird when he left. There was kind of a little beef. He was kind of responding to say people on X and Instagram, throwing shade, and we are all like, screw you, DJ, why are you doing? But then, now looking back, not only did it bring us Wemby, all that, so great move. But he always told like when he tore his ACL when that was supposed to be his big breakout year, and then first person he called like Pop that night just wanted to hoop and like he's dribbling the ball up through his apartment at night and just calling Pop at 2 a.m. So obviously Pop was that father figure that you
Yep.
hear DeMar talking about too and all this. So yeah, I mean it was sad, but it makes total sense why all these guys were there. And quite frankly, I was surprised more didn't go in a way, but it is what it is.
Well, yeah, you saw, I mean, I saw just scouring Instagram or X or whatever, I'd see random players pop up,
Mm-hmm.
like George Hill, for example, who popped up randomly. He had a really long post about Pop as well,
Yeah.
like all the stuff, all that he meant to him. And that was just players like that who came out of the woodwork. And
Danny Green.
yeah,
He
yeah, Danny
he
Green.
yeah.
Yeah. So really,
He
really,
literally gave so many people like careers that were not going to realistically make any money or make any noise in the NBA. Even kind of like Derek White. Derek White got asked about it before game one the other day, and he was like, "Pop's the one who gave me the foundation, told me like you belong here. You're good enough to do this. Like I didn't have it mentally myself. Like so, Pop did that for so many guys and like
so true.
truly changed the league in so many ways."
Richard Jefferson went on ESPN and was talking about how Pop and Chip England extended his career because he was kind of tailing off, and they were like, "Look, you need to develop this corner three," and
Mm-hmm.
they empowered him and gave him confidence. Like, yes, it's changing, but you can still be effective. And RJ extended his career for another 7, 8 years, long enough to stick around and win a championship with the Cavs.
Yeah.
So that never would have happened if he didn't come to San Antonio.
That's exactly right. No, it was wall to wall coverage and nothing but good to say about Pop, and he deserves it. And the coolest thing about it all was, Reagan, go ahead, talk about what happened in the lead up to that and
So
how
he had
it happened.
Yeah, so he had this sick like retro Spurs jacket on, windbreaker, and towards the end of him talking, he was like, "No, I just got to tell y'all one thing," and he starts to take it off, and it was so cool because like Manu and Tim like both kind of peeled it off of him, so it was like a fighter like taking his robe off before a big boxing match, and it just says El Jefe on the front of the shirt, and then he turned around and on the back it said Senor Popovich, president of basketball ops. And it was this coolest thing ever. I saw another Spurs fan, shout out Dakota Mitchell. He made the shirt like a Godfather design. It said El Jefe with a pop thing, and it was like a little rose. Badass, dude. Like El Jefe is like he's like, don't get it twisted, but I'm not coach anymore. But I'm also not weak, just gonna go off into the sunset. I'm the boss man here. Like I'm still running stuff. So it was a kind of like last little moment of defiance, maybe,
Yes.
but it was cool.
Yeah, totally pop move still, even at this old age. His current situation he's in still goes out on top, showing it, his true like sarcastic ass. I'm the big fucking boss now. Like I don't have to coach anymore. Now I just get to sit around and do whatever I want. Like, oh, I love it. That's totally pop. Just, still going out, sarcasm, everyone laughing. And I think that was quite literally like the last thing he did. Then he just kind of walked off.
Yep.
Yeah, then it was the intro to Mitch.
Yep. Then is the intro to Mitch. And so, yeah, Mitch Johnson officially got named as our franchise's next head coach. He's been an assistant coach. I didn't know it was this long. He's been an assistant
Yeah.
in Spurs program for a decade and obviously took over as interim head coach while Pop was out. But man, I'm glad that he got the official title. He had a lot of really cool things to say about Pop as well. During the speech, I was told that, or not, I was told, I read that Pop was actually like tearing up during Mitch's speech because
Yeah.
some of the things that he was saying about Pop and what he's meant to him and all the things that he's learned from him and his under his tutelage. And so yeah, it was just really cool to see. And I'm excited that it sounds like he's focused and he's ready to go. And I think all the boys, all the players that are on the team right now who are on the roster, I think they're ready to learn from him and just embrace him as full-time head coach.
Yeah, I think what really broke Pop down was when Mitch kind of looked over to his wife and his four children and said, "Guys, I know that you don't get to live a normal life. We've moved and, it's crazy hours and we're always traveling and I'm away a lot." And the camera just kind of panned to Pop on the side and he was just crying. And I think he's just kind of relating to that. And also knowing all the sacrifice that Mitch has put in over the decade under his tutelage, like you said, and like to finally see this happen for a guy that he's really brought up from almost nothing in the NBA coaching landscape to now taking over for him, I think it was a cool thing. But one of the things that Mitch Johnson said in this presser was, quote, "The blueprint has been around for a while," talking about Pop, "but to be able to do it in my own skin, in my way, and to be authentic for the players most of all is the biggest thing that I leaned on." So when talking about what have you learned most from Pop, it's like he's learned a lot, but he's ready to kind of twist it a little bit and make it his own, which I think is what we're all excited to see. For good or for bad, I want to see Mitch coach as Mitch.
Yeah, dude, just to piggyback off that, again, kind of we all said, I didn't know Mitch had been in the program for 10 years, but he started from the bottom, he played with the Lopez brothers at Stanford, the Lopez twins. And even Brooke has said something this year like, oh, yeah, back at Stanford, like he was the guy, he was the brains, like on the court. He ran our offense. He would, like, if anyone had questions and didn't want to ask the coach, it was all Mitch. So he's got a basketball brain for sure, high basketball IQ, went to Stanford, he's smart as hell. And then, made his way into the Austin program. And then they said after Austin, then he sat behind the Spurs bench for like 2, 3 years and then finally got his way onto the bench, Pop's right hand man. And then boom, this year took over. So he's seen all levels of basketball. And we know how close he is with Wemby. So we got to assume, there's no way in hell they didn't go to Wemby, probably even Fox too, and say, are y'all good with us hiring Mitch as the next friend? Damn well they probably got that approval. And it was just great to see, man. Mitch has a beautiful family, and we're pumped for the future.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was like it did come out. Wimby gave the stamp of approval, and Pop gave the stamp of approval. And as somebody on Twitter said, "Hey, if Wimby and Pop are cool with it, I'm cool with it." And I think that's
Gotcha.
the attitude we all have to take. Brian Wright even said on the decision to pick Mitch and promote him versus bringing in somebody else, promoting somebody else or hiring, bringing out somebody from the outside in. He said, "Quote, it was an easy decision." So I think. Like I said, for better for worse, we have to understand that this has got the approval of ownership, of management, of the coaching staff, of the current players. It's been a long time coming. He knows the Spurs Foundation well, and we have to kind of ride with it for good or for bad, and back our guy
Yeah.
until he gives us a reason not to.
Yeah, at least a couple years, we got to assume there's going to be growing pains.
Yep.
There's going to be more mistakes. We already saw a lot this past year, and we would kind of dog on him. We all would, and all Spurs fan base would. But let's hope that maybe he didn't have full reins. We'll say maybe he wasn't really, fully in control, and now it's truly his team, his offense, his play calling. So
Yep.
now we can really start to hopefully see some change, new better change, and it's all on him now.
Come on. Yeah, come on. Yeah, we wish him the best. Obviously, he's one of the, like you just said, Stu, he's one of those basketball minds He loves the game. He's been around it obviously forever. Played at a high level. I think he's perfect fit. Let's see though. Let's see. I'm curious to know how he approaches next season and how he balances next year, but also like long-term future growth and like player development and how we can all come together. Yeah, it'll be really fun to see, man.
I will
Hopefully,
say, go ahead, go ahead.
I'll just say, hopefully, in a way, now that it is kind of all done and Mitch is the new guy, kind of we're glad now that he did have this past year when realistically we were, even if we had Wemby Fox, we'd maybe like get out of the first round, maybe, but probably not still. But so we were never going to do anything this past season anyway. So at least now we got Mitch coach, 65 games or whatever. And
Right.
hopefully he can learn a lot from this past 65 games and not make all those errors that we were bitching about all season.
Yeah.
Fix up that subbing and rotations, all that, which we were complaining about. So hopefully in a good way now that we did have all those growing pains already last season.
Yeah,
Exactly.
like he kind of had the training wheels on for season one of his head
Mm-hmm.
coaching debut with zero expectation. So maybe that
Yeah.
was a good thing for him. But what I was going to say is, like you mentioned, Stuart, there's going to be growing pains, and I hope he can learn from this past season. But there will still be growing pains. Even Mark Daigneault, the coach of the Thunder, who like everybody regards as a top 3 or top 5 coach in the league now. He still made an egregious error at the end of that game against the Nuggets the other night. Jokic was off the floor and they decided to foul up 3 with about 10 seconds left. It got Jokic back in the game and they ended up losing.
Yeah.
So like there that's just, second year in the playoffs. So it's still going to happen. There's still going to be growing pains, but we have to just look for improvements from this past season and not, worry about the outside noise and what all these grand expectations are. Are we improving at an acceptable rate? Is Mitch Johnson a better coach this year than he was last year? And we have to be happy with that. That's all I'll say.
Not to be that guy, fellas, but I mean, even Pop was still learning in his prime and in Timmy D's prime. Let 2013, Ray Allen hits that three, but before that, Timmy D ain't on the floor. Timmy D ain't on the floor, and we get out rebounded. So even
True.
Pop was still learning back then. You can't have a 7-footer not on because it was bad matchups against Bosch or whatever. But
Right.
guess what? Timmy D gets that rebound. We got 6 shifts instead of 5. Uncover your ears. Listen to it. Listen to it.
Oh my gosh. That's
Let's run the
Oh
tape.
man.
Run the tape. Bob. Oh, Ray Allen Corner.
No,
Hey,
no, mute this
hey.
man.
yeah, no.
I
I
love
agree.
talking about that. God.
Yeah, I know. Seriously, that just
But
gives me
really though, so I mean, so even like there's always going to be growing pains. Is my point. There's always going to be learning curves, and even the great goat all time Pop in year 18 back then, 2013 or whatever, still made mistakes. So we're gonna have to ride it out.
Yep. My big thing, one thing I want to say, which I mentioned this before, but I want to just refocus on it. I hope that Mitch Johnson finds his voice with the players. I know like he's a players coach, young guy, 38 years old. But I want him to like find his voice and authority and step into that authoritative role and get the guys to come to play if they're not, right? If they come out flat, like get on their ass in his
Yep.
own way, or he doesn't have to yell per se, but maybe I want to see something, man. I want to see him step into that authoritative role and just like be that guy to like get the guys going if and when we come out flat for a random Wednesday night game against the Hornets or something. And but this is the year to start winning.
Yeah.
I don't want to see him just kind of sit back on the sidelines and just kind of
Yeah.
again.
Like we
That's
saw this past season, and we would complain about like Mitch, get them fired up, do something, get a tee yourself. Like we
yeah,
saw when our levels were low and stuff, that would be a game where Pop would get thrown out of when we're down 20 in the first quarter to
Yeah.
get the team riled up, and then we come back and win without Pop. Like
oh,
so, we need to see that from Mitch.
for sure. Yeah, that's my big thing. That's what I want to see. But I cannot wait to watch them and just see how they all, meld together over the course of the next however many months and season ahead. But before we get on to the Tankathon spin, I want to end this pop segment with a memory. I told each of us before the podcast to bring your favorite pop memory to the episode. So, do y'all have a favorite pop memory that comes to mind? It could be just a moment, right? A reaction of his, an interview that he gave, whatever it was. Is there something that like kind of comes to mind whenever you think of pop?
Mine's not one specific moment or memory. Just its whole career, how he'd always be, through the course of the whole season, even through playoffs, super mundane. Give us 2-word answers to reporters, all that. Even in playoffs, it's just basketball at the end of the day. But then when we finally win a championship and all, there's the memes today where it's like 1, 2, not 3, not 4, but
Yeah.
5, and then so just him being happy, celebrating. We have the meme of him doing this and
Oh,
stuff, just dancing. So it was really that when his true, happy, normal self will come out. What you hear all these stories about how he really is on day-to-day basis, but we never would get to live that as fans and see it. We would only see his, mean or, super monotone self. But then, when we finally win at summertime, just happy pop and getting to celebrate with the fellas. That's what I'll always remember, just the happiness.
love that. That's good, man. That's
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Mine's kind of similar. So I did come up with like, and this is the first thing that comes to my brain when I think about pop and like good memory is after we won in 2014, and all the players are running around the court, confetti's coming down, and thank God to whoever this cameraman was, but he went and found Pop, who was just sitting on the bench. He had loosened his tie, and he was kind of sitting over, and he was just kind of rubbing his head like this and just taking it in, trying to keep himself from absolutely breaking down, crying in that moment, because I think he was that rock for that team. 2013 was so devastating. And if you ask Duncan or Green or Bellinelli or Parker, Ginobili, Diaw, whoever it is, they will all say that Pop came back in that next training camp more focused and more like eyes on the prize. Nothing is getting in my way, either get on this ship with me or get the hell off of it kind of attitude. And I think he had to be that like enforcer that whole year. He was tougher on anybody that whole season. And you could just see that release of emotion
Yeah.
and the pride that he had in that roster to get that done, and that all of San Antonio felt for that too, just all released. And like you said, Stuart, we didn't get to see the day-to-day of Pop being like a softie or a happy guy or whatever. That was the curtain peeled back for just a second, where you saw Prop be so happy and prideful and that sense of accomplishment after that moment. So for me, that's what it is. It's him standing on the side there and just kind of taking it all in, trying not to break down after the fifth championship.
dude. That was mine. I think we talked about that when you were here in Austin.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we
yeah.
kind of like
I
said like,
stole it. Ah, dang, I'm
oh
sorry.
yeah, but that's okay. So I kind of figured that was coming, but and for the same reasons too, like that. Just seeing that all number one, it just showed how competitive he was, right? Even though he was a stoic, I loved just seeing that, right? Like you said, the release of emotion, and that brings me to another thought, which is someone said that the greatest of all time in any sports or any endeavor, the ones who win more times than not, they're more relieved than they are happy or excited because they know how much work it took to be there. They're not even like happy. They're just relieved that they didn't lose after putting in all that work. Whereas the
Yeah,
people who, they're not winners, and they might have like stumbled across it. They might have worked hard. They're just like they go crazy. But that first reaction of just relief, that is just night and day maniacal focus on winning. And that's crazy to see from a 70-something-year-old person still loving the game that much, still sharing that much passion. That's what makes him the GOAT. He's
yeah.
relieved. He's like, ah,
Like you think about the Warriors championship a couple years ago, and afterwards, like Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, the little like clip afterwards, like we're getting the bag, we're getting the
Yeah.
bag,
yeah,
and like they just had this jewel because like they don't know it's their first one, but like
right.
Pop, like he had been there, he had done it 4 times. They had a 7-year drought, they had the 2013 heartbreak, and then so like he knows every single ounce of effort and work that it takes to be there and to get
Yes.
there, and like this might be the last one, and he took it in like.
So
Oh,
exactly. Perfectly said,
perfect.
boys. Perfectly said. I love that. Great job. I love it. Pop, we love you forever. Keep doing your thing. Keep holding us together. Keep steadying the ship. And we love you, brother. Let's
El
go.
Jefe.
All righty, boys. So, with all that said, let's get into the last Tankathon spin of the year before the NBA lottery begins next Monday. Come on, boys. The day
Bro, before
after.
before you hit spin, did you see on Twitter somebody did a spin and we had the number one pick from Atlanta was us and the number two pick was our pick. Like we had number one and
That's
number
amazing.
two. Like
That's
the whole
amazing.
NBA would burn down.
Dude, imagine what would we do? Honestly, obviously we keep one, but would we trade
Trade
two for a
trade
great
two.
player?
Two's out of there. Yeah. Two's out of there.
Dude,
There's
I want
such a
like
like.
three future
There's
picks.
obviously great talent the whole freaking draft, but like quite literally after one, it's a massive drop off.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Like honestly, even if we've kind of discussed this, but last thing, start before. But even if we get like any top four that's not one, like I'm throwing it away or I'm trading it if Giannis or KD's the answer or something for short term because they're just such a big drop off after Coop.
Well, it's just, yeah, yeah, you're right, and especially like on the defensive end, I feel like
Mm-hmm.
maybe not, but like I feel like Cooper Flag's the only one who like really stands out on the defensive side. Everyone else
Ace
can,
Bailey ain't a defender, that's for sure.
right? Everyone else can score, right? Like Dylan Harper,
Yeah.
Ellie, VJ, but maybe
Trey
VJ is a
Johnson.
decent defender, but Trey Johnson's cone, whatever. So like, yeah,
Yeah.
overall, like players, yeah, you're right, Stu. So also the fact that like, who do we pick? If we picked at number two, would we even want to? I'd rather be like five and get Trey. Even though
Yeah, I'm
we get
now
five.
this would happen like a month ago. Stuart was like, I don't want two or I don't want three or whatever it was.
Yeah,
I'm in your camp now, bro. Like I don't want
I
the
don't want to pick
pressure
the
of
wrong
picking
guy.
Ace
yeah,
Bailey or Dylan Harper
Uh-huh.
when they couldn't even get tournament eligible in college and
Yeah.
on the same college team. Like
Supposed to
that
be
gives
two
some
top five guys, and you can't even make the NCAA
exactly,
bro,
tournament.
like
exactly.
yeah, that Markel Fultz was like that, Ben Simmons was like that.
Yeah,
Do we want to go that route? I don't know. So like
yeah,
the taking that pressure off at like five would be or like four, I guess. Would I don't know. Maybe
yeah.
that's loser
Four would be
talk, but
dope.
whatever.
Four would be dope. I would like four because I'd still be down to take Trey at four, or VJ would be good. But yeah, whatever. All right, Rylan, be our
Let's
good
spin.
luck
Let's
charm.
spin. Let's spin. Let's spin.
Count us down. Three,
Three,
two.
2, 1, and Sim. Oh, four. Let's go. Let's go.
Oh,
Trading.
Let's go.
manifest.
Let's go. What do we say?
4-14.
4 and 14. I would be down. I would be
Seth
down
is
for
coming
it.
away with VJ Edgecombe and McNeely at 14.
Yep. And
Yeah,
McNeil.
dude, I'm sending that 14 as far away as possible.
Yeah, no
I'm
way
trading
we're
that in
taking that.
for like a big time pick next year or something.
Come on. Come on. Let's go. Boy, shall we spin again just to see?
Why
No.
not? Okay,
No?
yeah, no. Honestly,
What if
four
it
is
goes
pretty
to
dope.
8 and 14, and then we got to end on a
You're right.
bad note?
You're right. All right. That's fine. I'll take it. Top four pick. I'm freaking down. Come on.
Woo!
Please.
Love
Good
it.
job,
Love
buddy.
it.
Right. You were great luck for us.
All right,
Oh,
well, hey, everybody, stay tuned now because we're gonna flip it to ourselves just like we did last week. Part two of player grades from this season, and this is gonna be the spicy one. We got Wemby, we got Fox, Castle, Sochan, Vassell, right? So we've got some polar, probably the most polarizing players on this roster are coming up in these player grades. Go down in the comments, let us know if you agree, disagree. If we all had the same thing and you think we're all stupid, let us know. We want to hear from you. It was a lot of fun recording this stuff. But yeah, so we're going to go to that now. But yeah, from the Spurs Bros, go Spurs, go.
all righty. Let's get into part two of the player grades for the year. Part one, obviously, we talked about more of the bench players slash role players on the team. Now we're going to get into the thick of it. Stars of the team, starters on the team. Let's go. So let's start with Jeremy Sochan. Reagan, what do you give Jeremy for the year?
One of the most polarizing players in recent Spurs memory. We've talked about him a lot this year. Pros, cons, ups, downs, strengths, weaknesses. Through all that, I'm giving Jeremy Sochan a solid B.
Hmm.
Solid B grade. He started the season as a front runner for most improved player. He had the thumb injury, sat him out, kind of set him back. Once he returned, had to play multiple positions on both sides of the floor again. So I feel like that kind of limited his growth in certain areas. I would have liked him to see him improve his shooting. I looked at it just to make sure, but he shot 30.8% from three, which is the exact same percentage as last year. But I think his shot started to look a little bit smoother in the last couple of months of the season. So hopefully that continues. I love his versatility. I'm a Jeremy defender, and I think he should thrive with a healthy, improved roster next year. But yeah, I'm giving Jeremy a B.
That was literally my answer as well. I was between B and B plus because I didn't want to dock him too much for the injury. That was a weird, thumb injury, which kept him out. But still, he only ended up playing 54 games this year out of 82. He had some other little nagging injuries here and there. Back has been a low key, a continuous on and off thing for him. But when he has played, I've liked his impact on the game, and we talked about it. Whenever he's not playing, we miss his presence for sure. He's like one of our only solid offensive rebounders, great defensive rebounder as well, great on ball defender. So all that's great. The reason I gave him a B and not a B plus is because he did see a reduced role this season, whether it was just unintended consequences of other players stepping up or not. The fact that his role was reduced, even though he should be on the up, puts him at a B for me, right? I wish he would have developed more of a shot, but didn't really see that there. We saw the same sort of kind of like, fingers crossed, hold your breath, whenever you take a three or so, but nothing really consistent.
Yeah, so my first thought was I had a couple scratch outs. My first thought was B plus, and then I started thinking I was like, nah, injury again, still can't shoot. Scratch B plus, straight to C plus. And I was like, not his fault, I guess. Again, another rough injury. Not his fault that we had a backup coach this year. Kind of still didn't use them in the right way. And then I thought about the start of the season. We were all hopped on. Oh my God, Jeremy's our best player on the team. He was the first 10 games. He was having 20 a night with 12 boards and 5 assists. We're like, oh my God. So I ended with a B minus. That's what my final was, B minus. After the injury, he just kind of never came back and had the same impact that he did that first month and a half of the season. And to your point, Reagan shot the exact same. Whether it looks a little better, I don't give a shit. She can have the worst looking shot in the league. If it goes in, that's all I care about. It still ain't going in. Started to get a little better towards the end of the season, but I mean, still what year 3, 4 in the league, and still just not improved his shot over 4 years. So B minus for me. That's what I'm ending at. Pray to God he gets a shot over the summer.
Yep.
That's all we really need him.
He was next step.
He was building it back up, like we said. Next is Harrison Barnes. Stu, back to you again. What do you give Harrison Barnes for the season?
Straight A. Not plus, not minus, straight A. Came in, exceeded all expectations. Probably could have given him an A plus, but that's like I only save room for one person on that list for a full A plus, and it wasn't him. But he's second highest on the team personally. I thought he had great season. Like I just said, exceeded all expectations. None of us thought he'd come in and do what he did. He was our most consistent, just like he played every game. First off, him and CP, most consistent scorer throughout the season. Averaged probably 12 in the season, but he would go off for 20 when we would need. Kind of did it all out there. He was a great vet. Helped the city out a lot. Did his thing. Just like a great overall guy. Solid A. Would love to have him back. I know he's in a lot of rumors to be traded this summer. I'll be very sad to see him go. If so, like I already said, I would prefer a young guy go over him. But yeah, A for Harrison. Had a 6 season.
I mean, that was again. I'm not joking around, guys. That is my score again. Not A plus, not A minus, A. I think there was really only like 1 or 2 weeks out of the season I can remember where he had kind of like a down time where he seemed a little bit off or missing in action. But that was after directly after I think he won Western Conference Player of the week or month or whatever of the week. Sorry, not month of the week. He just was on a tear, man. And I mean, Sean and Toby, they had this ongoing thing of like, oh, he doesn't miss. He doesn't miss from the corner, and like it felt like it was true, man. Like he's 100% from the corner when he's shooting threes. That's how it felt, dude. He made big shots. He made baskets whenever we needed to cut into a lead or whatever it was, man. He was just always there. Perfect role player, as Stuart said. And I'm so glad that we got him over the summer. I would love to have him back as well.
Yeah, bro, he is a keeper. He started all 82 games. Like Stuart said, that's the 3rd straight season. I know the other 2 are with Sacramento, but 3rd straight season starting 82 games. Hell of an accomplishment. Just state of the NBA right now. 43% plus from 3. I love the stuff off the court. I think like he embodies everything that you think of when you think of what a Spur is on and off, how he carries himself, how he is with the media and the community, on the court, leadership, professionalism, take care of himself, everything. So Harrison Barnes was one of 2 guys that I gave an A plus to.
Ooh.
on the roster. I cannot get enough of Harrison Barnes. I think you put him on a even improved roster next year with healthy Wemby, healthy Fox. I think he becomes an even better version of this as one of those vet starters filling in a steady 3 and D role
Yep.
starter. Yeah.
Love it. Next on the list is De'Aaron Fox. With De'Aaron Fox, I personally am going with a B plus. I give him B plus just because he came in obviously at the trade deadline, and he didn't have much time to adjust to his new team. And obviously, he was also on the road for a long time, and then he had to come in and go straight back on the road again. And he stepped in and he made an impact right away. I know Mitch Johnson told him, "Hey, don't try to fit in. Just stand out, be yourself, be De'Aaron," and he did it. It was really exciting to see that win against the Hawks. Hashtag Hawks are bums in his debut. Him and Wemby showed something pretty spectacular, and I hope to see more of that in the next season. I didn't give him an A for obvious reasons, not obvious to the outside folk, but to the Spurs Bros might be obvious. He just didn't, there was just times where he didn't show so much effectiveness. Sometimes you kind of forgot that he might have been out there, or he just wasn't as aggressive. And I think he was just trying to still feel himself out, just trying to understand his role on the team. I think the whole team was in flux as well. He didn't have much time to play with Wemby as well after, or effective real minutes with Wemby because of the whole DVT thing. So I don't ping him for that. And obviously his finger. So, he put up numbers, he put up some numbies in the meantime, maintain his average. And I think he even admitted, he's like, I played way better than other people thought I would play this year, right? Given the circumstances. So I kind of tend to agree with that take. Nothing like earth shattering, but still respectable B plus.
I was just with you, B plus, right on the dot. You basically hit all the good points. What wasn't good enough for an A? He started out those first 5 games with Wemby. He was pretty aggressive. I remember, I think the first time was Atlanta, had like 28. Did what we would expect him to do. And then, right after Wemby went out, there was those 2-3 weeks before he stopped. He was just doing a lot of average stuff out there. It was kind of annoying. I was kind of annoyed he wasn't shooting more. He was only putting, and when he was shooting, he was only going like 6 for 18, 19 from the field. So he was only getting like 14, 15 points for a couple weeks there. And it just to me, wasn't enough when we lost our guy. But all that is fair. Like you said, he was getting new system, new city, whole new life. His whole world changed. So, I mean, who are we to come in and say, oh, why aren't you averaging 25 right away on a whole new team, whole new system, all that. So, but I just wanted to see him be a little more aggressive. But yeah, B plus for me.
Yeah,
Reagan?
I was a little bit lower than you guys. I had him at a B for the year. 17 games with us, 5 with Wemby. Looking at his numbers for those 17 games, there's a possible 30 after the All-Star break. So he played 17 of them before shutting it down. Averaged 19.7 points, 4.3 boards, 6.8 assists, and a steal and a half a game. Shooting splits were 44.6, 27, and 82. Field goal and 3-point numbers were both below his career averages, but he was able to keep his free throw numbers high. We knew the pinky was going to be an issue coming in. He made that instant impact. Then Wemby, we got some flashes of what it could look like, but then Wemby went down. We shut him down. I think it ended up being a little bit underwhelming just because of the circumstances that happened. But so excited to see him healthy with Wemby out there next year. So
Yep.
everything considered, again, just right middle of the road. Give him a solid B from me.
Let's
And
do
he
it.
ended on a real high those last 2 games against Dallas. He finally went off. So he probably knew those, he knew beforehand for sure. The
Yeah,
Spurs had told him these are going to be your last 2 games. So you could tell he's way more aggressive. And those last two, obviously, was against bum Dallas, but he had like 34, like 8-8, I think his last game. And right before he had like 36-7 or so. So, he went off those last couple of games. So it was a good high to end the season. Hopefully, he carries that
Yep.
over into next season.
Yep. And he had, if y'all remember, he basically almost had the game winner against the Hornets.
And he did
And
have the game winner
then he
against,
did have the game winner against whoever it was. Yeah.
he almost had
Uh,
multiple in those first like 4 games with Wemby.
or exactly. Yeah. So that was also really cool to see. Moving on to probably the most polarizing person on the team is Devin Vassell. Reagan, what do you say about Devin
I'm
Vassell? What
about
do you
to,
give
I'm
him
about to
rating?
go in, and I think people are going to expect me to say F, but
No, shouldn't be
C
enough.
C minus for
Hmm.
Devin Vassell from me is what I had. 16, 4, and 3 with over a steal a game. Shot the worst free throw percentage of his career at 79, the worst three-point percentage since his second season. And while the steals were a career high, it did not fool me. He remained inconsistent, unengaged on defense, in my opinion. He continued to get back cut. He continued to miss assignments, forget coverages. And, people are going to point to some of the stuff down the stretch where, oh, but he had so many 20 plus point games. He scored 37, career high. I'm not falling for it. Absolutely not. That is the NBA in March. Do not get fooled. Wemby and Fox were already done for the year. We went full take mode again, and the outcomes of those games didn't have very much weight. The few games that did have some weight, where we had a chance, Devin shrunk in the limelight. Whether it was the entire game he just didn't show, or it came down to the end of the game. One of those matchups against the Cavs, we talked about it when it happened. He lost his guy, got burned a couple times. We were within four. Game was all of a sudden, at 7 or 8, and under 30 seconds left, it was out of reach. So again, he just comes up short in the biggest moments. Nothing has changed for me when it comes to Devin Vassell from the last couple of years. He hasn't progressed like you'd want him to have, a 5-year, $150 million contract kind of guy. I don't think he's going to be able to thrive in the reduced role that he knows he has to take if he stays with the Spurs behind Wemby, Fox, and probably Stephon Castle. So I know what we can expect from Devin Vassell. That's or from a Devin Vassell led team, and that is L's. I've kind of had it with the expectation that he's going to be some like phenom top 40, top 35 player in the league. It's just not going to happen. C minus.
Yep, not going to happen. I went a little worse than you. I went D plus.
Fine with me.
For all the reasons that you just said, and plus just like in the most thing you see on X, Twitter, is that people who are defending him say he didn't have his last summer to improve against stuff because he was still coming back from injury. And like that's the whole point. He's always fucking injured. Like that's the whole point. Injured all last summer and then injured again this season for a month to start the season. Like that's the whole point. Quote of the year was best ability is availability. He's never available. So D plus came back, still did the same old stuff we've seen the last 5 years of his career. He's not improving. You just said it was his worst free throw year of his career. Yeah, D plus. Get him off my books now.
Get him off my books now. Oh, I'm going a C. That's what I had him at, as a C, just because, you can imagine it. The listeners who are listening, I mean, you know that I was a little more graceful towards him, give him more benefit of the doubt, but we're around the same. At least me and Reagan are. No pluses around here, that's for sure, and definitely not the B's.
A few weeks ago, Alec would have still been at like a B minus or a B.
Yeah.
But like we've been wearing on him recently.
For sure. And the reason I had him at a C and not a C minus is because I did give him more credit for those 20-point games, for the career high 37-point game.
I still love those garbage games.
Oh yeah, but for sure he definitely missed a whole letter grade because he never stepped up. He never ever stepped up when it mattered most. Like he actually vanished, especially when it was down the stretch when we did play him. We played him down the stretch in all these big games that we were in. Just never stepped up, and it's just sad. He just went MIA, man. So that's the reason. Moving on to Stephon Castle. We got two more. We got Stephon and Wemby. Stephon Castle. Anybody? Boys?
I mean, we should all probably be in agreement, I would assume. A plus. He's my only A plus on the team. Exceeded all expectations. Yeah, I know Wemby didn't get an A plus for me, but exceeded all expectations. I mean, he was the 4th overall pick. It could have been assumed he could have had a shot at Rookie of the Year, but I mean, like we said earlier in this pod, he basically blew it out of the water. It's almost as undisputed as Wemby's Rookie of the Year last year. He's going to win it. There's nothing to even say because anyone who's listened to our pod all year has already heard all of us talk about Castle as much as we possibly can. For all those reasons, he's A plus. He's a future All-Star.
You nailed it, dude. I mean, all the reasons you mentioned, yeah, A plus for me as well. I don't dock him at all for the inefficient numbers when it comes to outside shooting or just the rookie mistakes. That's why they call them rookie mistakes. You get them whenever you're young. And by the way, he learned fast, as the coaches projected, as the Dan Hurleys of the world. They said, no, that guy knows how to take criticism and he knows how to come back from it. He doesn't take anything personal. He just nods his head, says, yes, coach. Okay, got you. And he did that. I mean, we saw it. like it wasn't even like a slight improvement. It was like a step function improvement after he got the minutes, right? So like we saw him go from, being really good to like, oh yeah, he's a runaway favorite for the rookie of the year. He did so many things, man. I can go on and on, but Reagan, I'll leave it for you. Don't need to
Yeah,
belabor the
dude. I
point.
mean, y'all both kind of encapsulated it. Like when I was writing notes for these player grades, I couldn't stop typing. I've got a full page of stuff that I could say about Stephon Castle, but the first thing that I wrote down was in all caps, wow, wow, wow. We did it again, soon to be rookie of the year. Defensive stopper, he's a winner. His hezzy, change of pace, decel, everything. My opinion, I think he's already one of the best in-game dunkers in the entire NBA.
Mhm.
Smooth finisher at the
For
rim.
sure.
And then if you look at you look at the last 20 games, I gave him an A plus too. We're all in agreement. You look at the last 20 games, 18 plus points, about 6 assists, and over 5 rebounds a game. Everybody's saying, "Wait, Reagan, you just said that it's March and you can't like give any props to Devin Vassell because he scored over 20 points." I don't care. This is different because he is a rookie. Rookies' top picks often come into losing team situations where they're given a ton of responsibility and expected to put up a lot of numbers despite probably not affecting winning to the degree that a 5 or 6 year $30 million player would. So for that reason, I believe it's different and you can put more weight into his performance down the stretch when he was given more responsibility, more of the offense was run through him. 18, 6, and 5 plus, and he was flirting with triple doubles the last 5 games of the season. So
Yep.
I could not be happier and more excited for a player next season than Stephon Castle. A plus, A plus, A plus.
Mhm.
For sure. And you know what? Who else would agree with this is all the other superstars of the league. Remember, LeBron James gave him kudos. Anthony Edwards during All-Star
Yep.
break gave him kudos. You have all Draymond Green, all these guys like you gave them just to tip their hat to
Yeah,
Stephon,
who
knowing
know
what
what
he
like
will
young
be.
stars look like and
Yeah.
will be in the next couple of years, and they already all see it. I mean, yeah, it's
Yeah.
anyone who knows ball knows.
Exactly. So that's all good. And I love talking about the Warriors really quickly. Is he stepped up? I love that he was a huge part of why we won that game and sent the Warriors to the play-in. I know they made it. They know they made it to the playoffs, and they'll probably go past the first round. But
Yeah, they're
still,
going to use them.
yeah, that was awesome. And then last but definitely not least, we have the alien, the man, Wemby. What do y'all got? Stu, you said you didn't give him an A plus, so what do
No,
you
I
got?
just went straight A. I
Yeah.
mean, of course, Wemby's Wemby. Come on, I'm not slighting him by any means, but I don't think any of us should give an A plus for somebody who played 47 games. Like, he missed half the season, didn't even play enough to win DPOY, even though he still led the league in blocks. I mean, of course, his play while he was out there was A plus. He's our best player on the team. He's a future, MVP, Pope Finals MVP, everything, but he missed 37 or whatever it was. So I mean, I just gave him an A. Can't play only
Yeah.
half the season again less.
Yeah. I went
Simple as
A.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I went A as well. Again, not docking him for all the time that he missed or the time that he wasn't him when he was playing, but he was still dealing with the DVT thing. But I guess my biggest thing why I didn't give him an A plus is because similar to last season, his rookie year, he started off slow, right? And he kind of just felt his way out and he just felt his way through, and then he started to step up and then start to dominate. He kind of did a little bit of the same thing again this year. He didn't come out just like guns ablazing from what I remember. And so yeah, there's that. There's also the him trying to figure himself out, I guess, like just trying to understand where he wants to be, like maybe long term, how he's trying to like see his game develop, longer term, right? He obviously extended his range way more. He, shot way more on the outside. All these things. It's not bad, but it's just not like we didn't, it didn't translate into winning however many, 40 something plus games, whatever it took to get into the play in this year. I just want him to see him be more aggressive going into next year. I want him to see him like just start to like dominate from the jump. That's what I want to see. That's what obviously would take him to an A plus and would solidify him as a superstar by that point. Reagan?
Yeah, I finish up. I also had an A. He was on a tear heading into January.
He
Mm-hmm.
was 50
And
point
then
game, 45
yeah,
on
dude,
Christmas or whatever. Yeah, he yeah.
Yep.
records left and right, 50 burger, blocks records, almost got the Christmas Day points record. He
Oh,
had us sitting around 500, like 35 games into the season. He was an all-star. He was a DPOY front runner, likely all NBA. Before the Paris games, he had reached as high as number 7 on the MVP ladder. So yes, it took him a minute to get into the flow of things to start the year, but boy, when he did, he was, dude, he's so special. But yeah, I'm giving him an A because like Stuart said, you can't play 46, 47 games, whatever it ended up being, and get an A plus for me. We're going to talk about best ability as availability. We kind of have to respect that notion with other guys, even our prodigal son,
mhm.
Wembanyama. The DVT was really unfortunate, upsetting, everything. It was clearly affecting him those 5, 10 games leading up to the diagnosis at All-Star break, but successful surgery. He should get most of the offseason with Fox. And like you said, Alec, I'm hoping that he's gonna know himself a little bit better and be able to, come in conditioned well and ready to start the year off hot because we know every game counts in this Western Conference and we can't wait 10 games to get on a roll. We can't start 3-7, 4-6 and
Mhm.
expect to be, you know, hoping for a play-in spot we gotta get after it right away. So expectations are leveled up and hopefully his preparation is too.
That's right, man. I love it. I think those were some pretty good takes, boys. I don't think we had anything that was completely out of the blue or very polarizing in our grades. I think obviously watching these guys, the role players and the starters and the studs on our team, I think we're all kind of in agreement there, which is good.
Yep.
That's
We
good.
were all in sync with our letters pretty
I think
much.
the fact that we all had Sohan at a B, I mean, the fact that we were like middle of the
B.
road realistic with him is going to be polarizing in and of itself because people either like are he's like God's
Love,
gift,
right?
just wait, or like get him out of the NBA, like ship him to China right now. He
Yeah.
has
Right.
no place in the league. So
Right.
I like the fact that we actually came at it at Jeremy with like a realistic
Yeah.
viewpoint.
Mhm.
B. Yeah. All right, boys. Well, I can't wait for next season. I can't wait to do these grades next season. Hopefully, everybody improves in their grade and Stephon stays the same. So
Well, if
let's
we win a
go.
chip, we'll just give everyone A plus. So that'd be
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
you can't get a
True.
failing grade with a ring.
nice.
True that. I love that. That's a quote right there. It's good. That's good. All right, man. Well, I hope Spurs Bros who are listening, I hope you enjoyed this segment. And hey, let us know what you think. Let us know if you completely disagree with any of our takes, or if you like it and you think that we maybe no ball. If not, we're still going to keep recording anyways.
Yeah,
So,
we're not going away either way.
all righty. So,
Hit like, hit subscribe, keep up with the channel. Like we keep saying, a lot more stuff to come this summer. And from the Spurs Bros, go Spurs, go.